India redemption in the second test against England starting tomorrow in Chennai. M.A. Chidambaram to have 50% capacity crowd. Both teams likely to make changes in the 11. Akshar Patel likely replacement for Shahbaz Nadeem in the second test. England too announced their 12, make 4 changes in the team. Anderson, Archer, Dom Bess and Butler not included. In Australian Open, Serena Williams overcomes a sluggish start to beat Anastasia Potapova to reach 4th round. World number 2 Simona Halep, Naomi Osaka and Sabalenka also enter next round. Head of Tokyo Olympics Organizing Committee Yoshimiro Mori resigns over sexism row. His replacement was not immediately clear after opposition emerged to his favoured successor. Namaskar, I'm Abhishek Mahajan and welcome to Sports Birds. Let's start with our top story. Team India will lock horns with England for the second test of 4-match test series at the same venue, the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. The Indian side will look to bounce back after suffering a massive 227-run defeat in the first test, and with a place in the World Test Championship final on the line, both teams will be determined to secure a victory in this second test.
India will take on England in the second test of the 4-match series on Saturday at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. Team India will look to bounce back after suffering at a massive 227-run defeat in the first test at the same venue. In the first test, India struggled to bowl England out in the first inning after losing the toss and will look to make a strong comeback in this game. Rishabh Pant's flourish in the first inning and Kohli's return to form in the second are some of the positive India can take from the game. Team management might give Rahane and Rohit Sharma another opportunity, although KL Rahul does stand an outside chance of making it to the playing 11. Given their great home records, it should not take too long for India to find their footing and they look to fight back hard in the second test. Meanwhile, England continued their outstanding run of form in subcontinental conditions, building on their series win against Sri Lanka. Skipper George starred with the bat in the both innings, while Dominic Bees, Jack Leach and James Anderson all delivered with the ball at the different stages of the game. England will miss the service of Josh Butler, though, who is set to return home ahead of the second test. With a place in the World Test Championship final on the line, both teams will determine to secure a victory in the second test. Fans can expect another cracking encounter between these two sides. Sports Desk, DD India.
Indeed, we might see a cracking encounter starting tomorrow in the same stadium, in the same ground, M.A. Chidambaram Stadium, and India will definitely look to seek redemption. Our correspondent Narayan Singh is joining us live from the newsroom to give us more information on this. Narayan, good evening. India will have to win the series. First of all, let's talk about WTC scenario. India will have to win the series 2-1 or 3-1 to play New Zealand in the finals. What are the permutations and combinations? Is this the only scenario, or even if India lose the second test, then also they can qualify and play New Zealand?
Abhishek, good evening. Right now, quite interesting scenario is there for the World Test Championship final. New Zealand has already qualified for the final after the tour of Australia to South Africa was postponed. After that, before the test series against England, the dynamics of the points table of the World Test Championship were different. But after England won the first test match in Chennai, the total dynamics of the World Test Championship has been changed. Right now, before the series, India was at the top of the series, but after India lost the first match in Chennai, now England is at the top of the table with 70.2 points, and England at the second position is New Zealand, and at third position is Australia, and India has been dragged to the 4th place. But there is no need to press the panic button right now, because if India want to qualify for the final of the ICC Test Championship, India needs to win with the least margin of 2-1. They at least need to win the 2 matches, and 2 matches, 1 matches can and in a draw, and other margins are the 2-0 and 3-1 is also a margin, but at least they need to win 2 test matches. For England, it's still a Herculean task. They need to win at least 3 matches in the series. But after the India lost the first match in Chennai, the second match is also being at the same venue. India need to pull up their socks and have to make a comeback the way they made in Australia after a historic low of 36 in the first test match in Adelaide. They made a bounce back and defeated Australia in their own backyard after a long time, after a back-to-back. So we need to, there is no need to press the panic button. India has the full potential to make a bounce back here.
Absolutely, India will definitely look to make a bounce back. You're saying you look to make a comeback like they did in Australia, but will we able to repeat that? But Narayan, we are getting the news that India have opted for a turning track. You tell us in detail, where is this match happening, in the sense that is it happening in the same pitch? Because pitch was also criticized a lot in the first test, and Indians and also Indian captain Virat Kohli, they were not happy with the pitch, with the way the pitch behaved in the first test. Narayan, if you can hear us, I was asking you the kind of a pitch that we will see in this second test match. Is it happening in the same pitch, or Indians have opted for a different pitch for the second test? Right, we are getting news that India have opted for a rank turner now, and we all know that Indians, they have R. Ashwin, and news are also coming in that Indians might play Akshar Patel in the second test match. He has been brought back into the squad, but again, like we used to have, I mean, Indians used to announce the playing 11 in the history, but now they have not been announcing the playing 11 for the last 2-3 test matches. Narayan is with us again. Narayan, I was asking you about the pitch. What kind of a pitch is an offer in the second test?
Abhishek, as the classical, if you talk about the M. H. Chidambaram Stadium pitch, it usually turns on day 3, day 4, day 5. And usually it is good for batting on day 1 and day 2. But as the reports coming from the Chennai, it will be a turner right from the day 1.
Okay.
And if India will go for spin attack in this test match, because already they lost the first match, and if they want to remain in the ICC Test Championship, if they want to be playing in the final of the ICC Test Championship, they will have to go for the turners right from the day 1, because India have a quality spinners like Ashwin is there, and with the comeback of the Akshar Patel, the Indian spin department is looking quite potent here. So a turner will be there, it's looking like that.
Right, we might see a turner here, but turning pitches from day 1, will it be considered a good pitch? That's a question. But again, Narayan, talking about the team combination, like you were saying, it's clear that Indians will go with 3 spinners. One is R. Ashwin, second we might see Akshar Patel, and who would be a third spinner? Whether Washington Sundar or Kuldeep Yadav, that's a question. So, you think Akshar Patel is confirmed that he'll play the second test match instead of Shahbaz Nadeem. But, I mean, do we also see Kuldeep Yadav? Because a team combination was criticized and a lot of questions were raised. Why Kuldeep Yadav has not been included, despite maybe he's not doing so well in the last 3-4 matches. But again, he's our best spinner after R. Ashwin. Do you think Kuldeep Yadav will get a look in the second test?
Take a scenario, in the last, after the press conference of the first match, Virat Kohli clearly said that Kuldeep Yadav doesn't fit in his schemes right now. But according to the condition right now, we say if the Chennai pitch is a turner from the day 1, then Kuldeep, if you see the Kuldeep has more turn rather than Washington Sundar. So if you go according to the situation, according to the circumstances at the M. H. Chidambaram Stadium, then Kuldeep should be there. But as far as Washington Sundar is concerned, he contributed with bat in that match, in the first match where India lost. But his role in the team was as a bowler plus a batting all-rounder. So what is your role? That should be defined properly. In Indian condition, I don't think India need a more dominant batting lineup.
But Narayan, Narayan, will it not weaken our batting if we include Kuldeep Yadav in the 11, in the sense that we have R. Ashwin there, we have Kuldeep Yadav and we have Akshar Patel. So Washington
Akshay,
Sundar, we all know he scored
Akshay.
85 in the first test match, and if we have 5 bowlers and 6 batsmen, including 1 keeper, will it not weaken our batting if we include Kuldeep Yadav in the second test?
Definitely, but India has a strong batting lineup, the most favorite batting lineup in the world. We have the players like Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara is there, Ajinkya Rahane is there, Shubman Gill is there, Rohit Sharma is there. I don't think there's a dearth of batting talent in the team. What the thing that let down India in the first test was somewhere we can say that we had the 2 part-time bowlers, especially we have Nadeem was there. So our other bowlers did well, but the bowlers who are filling the shoes of others, Nadeem and Sundar, they did justice with the ball. That was also a factor. Otherwise, our other bowler Ashwin was quite fantastic with the outstanding figures in the match. So I think if you give an advantage to the extra bowler here, so definitely it will work for India the way the pitch is looking right now in the Chennai.
Right, absolutely. And if we talk about England, Narayan, England have also made 4 changes in the team. They have announced their 12, and we are playing that on our screen also. James Anderson not there, Jofra Archer not there, Jos Buttler will also be replaced by Foakes, and there is one more change also. Narayan, is it a good news for us that James Anderson, Jofra Archer, Jos Buttler not part of the team because of their rotational policy? Narayan, if you can hear me, I was asking that England have also made 4 changes in the team. Is it a good news for us, James Anderson not included for the second test? Right, it seems Narayan is not with us, but England, they have made 4 changes in the team, and they have also announced their 12. Talking about India, we also might see 2-3 changes in the playing 11 of the Indian team for the second test match. Moving on to our next story, India will have to win the series 2-1 or 3-1 to play New Zealand in the final of the World Test Championship, like our correspondent Narayan Singh was also saying. More in this report.
For India to qualify, it's a straightforward equation for India. Virat Kohli's men will have to win at least 2 matches out of the upcoming 4 and not lose the other 2 matches of the series. They can qualify even with a 2-1 result against England in the home series. However, if they lose 2 matches, they will be knocked out of the race for the World Test Championship final. India will be through to the WTC final if they win the England series by the following margins: 4-0, 3-0, 3-1, 2-0, 2-1. For England to qualify, England need to win big in the series against India. Joe Root's men need to at least win 3 matches and afford to lose only 1 match. Any of the following series scorelines will see England leapfrogging India and making it to the final: 4-0, 3-0, 3-1. For Australia to qualify, Australia should hope none of the above possibilities become a reality. If the India-England series is drawn, then Australia will go through to the final. Or if India loses more than 2 matches or England doesn't manage to win at least 3 matches, Tim Paine's team will head to Lord's for the final. ICC had restructured the World Test Championship qualification system as they introduced PCT system to determine the standings. The matches that are cancelled or postponed due to COVID-19 will be considered as null and void.
Right, postponement of Australia and South Africa series has also given advantage to the Indian team, but we gave you the equation: 2-1 or 3-1 against England. Moving on, England have made a solitary addition to their T20I squad for the upcoming 5-match series against India, beginning March 12th. Wicketkeeper batsman Jos Buttler, all-rounders Ben Stokes, Moeen Ali and Sam Curran, and fast bowler Jofra Archer, all of whom are part of England's squad for the ongoing 4-match series, have been named in the shortest format of the game squad. Liam Livingstone was the standout name in England's 16-member squad against India in Ahmedabad next month. Yoshiro Mori, the head of the Tokyo Olympics organizing committee, has resigned after he was criticized for making inappropriate remarks about women. The remarks set off a firestorm of protest, and Mori apologized at the time but said he would not resign. However, the pressure on him to step down had been steadily increasing. Major sponsors had also come forward to criticize. And Tokyo Governor Yuriko Koike said she would not attend a meeting of high-level Olympic officials in protest.
As it has been reported, as of today, I intend to resign as president. The important thing is for the Olympics to be held in July. And in order to hold Olympics, if my presence is a hindrance to the preparations, this cannot be allowed.
Right, he resigns over sexism row. Moving on to some football stories now. Danny Ings helped Southampton into the FA Cup quarter-finals after a 2-0 win at Wolves. The striker ended a 5-game goal drought as the Saints looked to lift the trophy for the first time in 45 years. Stuart Armstrong settled the game in stoppage time after Johnny Rudy's mistake. Southampton, who sit 12th in the Premier League, have won the FA Cup once against Manchester United in 1976 and were beaten in their last appearance in the final against Arsenal in 2003. And Tammy Abraham saved Chelsea's blushes with a second-half winner at Barnsley as the side scraped through to the last 8 of the FA Cup with a 1-0 win. Tammy Abraham scored the winner with his side's only attempt on target to book a quarter-final home tie with Sheffield United. Abraham was forced to make a headed goal line clearance towards the end to Danny Barnsley, substitute Michael Solbaugh on equalizer. Chelsea are now unbeaten in 5 games since Tuchel took charge in January and will entertain Sheffield United in the 6th round on the weekend of 20th and 21st March. And talking about Bayern Munich now, Bayern Munich beat Mexico's Tigres UANL 1-0 on Thursday thanks to Benjamin Pavard's winner on the hour to win the Club World Cup title and earn their 6th trophy in less than 9 months. Pavard scored in the 59th minute following a VAR review and in front of around 12,000 spectators allowed in Education City Stadium after Tigres keeper Naul Guzman had stopped a Robert Lewandowski header. The Germans, who also twice hit the woodwork, won all domestic and European titles they competed for in 2020 and are the first team to match Barcelona's sextuple from 2009. It was also Bayern coach Hansi Flick's 6th trophy since he took over in November 2019. From football, let's talk about tennis now. Let's take a look at the updates from the Australian Open. Serena Williams overcame a sluggish start to beat Anastasia Potapova and reached the Australian Open 4th round. 10th seed Williams, bidding for a record-equaling 24th Grand Slam title, came through 7-6, 6-2 against the 101st ranked Russian. Naomi Osaka had also advanced after a cagey match against Ons Jabeur of Tunisia. 3rd seed Osaka and her opponent struggled for rhythm, but it was the Japanese who prevailed 6-3, 6-2. Aryna Sabalenka, meanwhile, matched her best Grand Slam showing by advancing to a 4th round showdown against Serena Williams at the Australian Open. The number 7 seed Sabalenka beat American Ann Lee 6-3, 6-1 at Rod Laver Arena. Also, Garbiñe Muguruza, who finished runners-up at the 2020 Australian Open, booked her last 16 spot with a convincing 6-1, 6-1 victory over Kazakhstan's Zarina Diaz. Muguruza saved all 5 break points she faced in the match. In another match, Czech Republic's Markéta Vondrousova entered the 4th round by defeating Corona Karsela 6-2, 6-4 in the 3rd round match. And the world number 2, Simona Halep, has stormed into the 4th round after defeating Veronika Kudermetova in the 3rd round on day 5 of the year's first Grand Slam at the Rod Laver Arena. Halep thrashed the Russian 6-1, 6-3 to secure her berth in the 4th round. With this win, Simona Halep has entered the US Open 4th round for the 6th time. Spain's 15th seed Pablo Carreno Busta was forced to retire after falling ill during his 3rd match round against Bulgaria's Grigor Dimitrov. The Bulgarian 18th seed has advanced to the 4th round after a 6-0, 1-0 win in a walkover against an ailing Busta. Meanwhile, German 6th seed Alexander Zverev has also advanced to the 4th round after a 6-3, 6-3, 6-1 win in round 3 against France's Adrien Manarino. The duo have faced each other 4 times in less than 6 months span, and German has 3-1 record against the French player. The sporting world has managed to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic by creating bio-bubbles. These are sanitized areas that can be accessed only by a certain set of people who are not infected with the virus. From the Indian Premier League to the US Open and the NBA, tournaments have taken place using this strategy. And the flip side is that, however, is the psychological impact it has on the sports persons. The bubble entails being confined to certain areas and limits who one can meet and interact with. Special report.
Sport has adapted in many ways to these unprecedented times in order to bring fans a viable product during the pandemic. One of these adaptations has been the emergence of biosecure bubbles for competitions or even leagues themselves. But the concept of being constantly locked away in isolation for long periods of time has had its critics. And some of the effects of biosecure bubbles on athletes are starting to emerge. Psychologists have called for better support for cricketers' mental well-being as they head into a second year confined to biosecure bubbles around the world. Cricket's long tours away from home and family have often caused problems in the past, but the restrictions of quarantine and bubble life are posing extra difficulties.
When we talk about biobubble in sports, we need to keep in mind the complexities that are involved. To begin with, we are talking about competitive sports. We are talking about professionals who are there to perform at their optimal levels, and we can understand the kind of pressure that brings in to perform at their best all the times. So that's there. Besides that, many of these sports persons, they are playing away from their home. They might be playing in a different state or at times in a different country. And many times these trips can be for extended periods, maybe for a few weeks or even a few months. And in that case, we need to understand that these sports persons, they are away from their homes, they are away from the environment that they are familiar with, they are no longer with their friends, with the usual support system that they used to have, the family members, the loved ones. And then when we talk all this in context of biobubble, we are talking about a situation where there is a sports person who is away from the home, is there preparing to perform at the optimum level all the time, and then there are restrictions because of the biobubble. And these restrictions are not there only on the field or only on the pitch. They are there in the dressing rooms, they are there in the hotels, so you need to follow those guidelines, those recommendations.
England's John Bairstow has said he spent just 6 nights at home in the second half of last year. Indian fast bowler Mohammad Siraj missed his father's funeral after deciding to stay in Australia in quarantine with his teammates in November. Sports psychologists and psychiatrists have warned of the toll being taken on players and said there is a stigma over coming forward, particularly in Asian nations.
During these times, they have to rely primarily on technology to communicate or to connect with the world around them. So we can understand that when we are talking about biobubble in sports, we are talking about a complex situation. We are talking about a situation where there is an increase in potential sources of stress, and at the same time we are also talking about a situation where the usual support systems, they might not work that they used to work earlier. So we can expect that in these situations, sport persons are going through a very different kind of a stress, both qualitatively as well as quantitatively. But we need to remember, biobubble is primarily aimed at ensuring the safety of the sports person. So If we keep that fact in mind, then we need to identify the ways in which we can help these sportsperson deal with this stress using certain additional mechanisms during these times.
The aim of a bio bubble is to keep cricket teams relatively isolated from the outside world so as to greatly minimize the risk of COVID infection. Players who play high pressure games have not been getting the opportunity to cool down due to the presence of this bubble. Regular testing is also quite an added load on their shoulders. Sports Desk, DD India.
Right, life in a bio bubble is not at all easy, and hopefully things will change and improve soon. Well, that's all we have in this edition of Sports Buzz. Stay tuned for more news and updates. Namaskar.